I'm always so tempted to do that though. Just like we've had this like very normal chill conversation, like, well, good morning, it's a backpack show. Welcome, it's outside.
Coming at you. Let's see. 48
Have those like
degrees and sunny.
those stingers, you're listening to like a radio show.
There's people who just talk like that though. Like Tim Kitzrow is Tim Kitzrow if you're just like hanging out having tapas, or if you're he's on, you know what I mean? Some people are like that.
We could do a demo of how Tim Kitzrow sounds.
Guests of the show stay at the inconveniently located from downtown or anywhere, never to be confused with luxurious and never updated FDR Hotel, located somewhere off Highway 84 near an old gas station with a burned out van parked out front with a for sale sign.
Putting the F in accommodations.
Yeah. Hey, so who's our guest today? Kerry?
I'm really excited about this. So Ray Hill is the founder of Origami Customs. They're a lingerie and underthings and swimwear brand for all different types of bodies. And I am thrilled because the brand is so inclusive. My own child has some of their stuff, my teenager, and I'm just thrilled, silly, to have them here today.
I have a type of body.
You sure do. First, we have to thank some folks for the fact that we have a show.
First, we have to open our opening credits, Kerry.
I want to.
We're not going to start the show with the backpack show.
I have the buttons, friend.
I have no buttons. All right. Well, no start.
If you want to do your own video show, you can go to cbrogan.net/StreamYard, and you're going to have to find your own lingerie and underthings founder.
Protesting.
And if you would like a .net domain, and really who wouldn't, go to cbrogan.net/online and use the code Chris in all caps to get that for just 99 cents for a year. I think that's all we have, right? So
except for this.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gorgone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show.
The buttons. I have the buttons, and
I am absolutely going to knock this tablet off into the trash can.
I know, that's why I keep telling you to not do it. Hello, Chloe in Scotland. Kate's here.
Kate is back. Haven't seen Kate in forever.
Chloe likes my lights.
Yeah, Kerry's got a new setup at the other homestead.
Well, it was all white, and I was sort of feeling like minimalist, like a Google search page. Yeah. So I made a few changes. Hi, Leslie. Thank you for Leslie. The syrup again.
All right. Well, let's drag Ray on again. Your button, so I can't do things. So
absolutely. Welcome. So excited to have you, Ray.
Hey, Ray.
So excited to be here.
So unfold the story of origami for us. How do we decide, what I need to do is make underpants?
Yeah. So basically Origami Customs is custom, handmade, and completely made to fit everyone's body line of lingerie, swimwear, and underthings. And I've been doing this for 12 years. It started very differently when I was a scuba diver when I was living in Honduras, and it's really evolved so much over the years. But I wanted to find something that really affirmed our gender diverse and trans community. It's my community as well. And with my background in making swimwear and lingerie, I was really realizing that a big part of our community was being left out. And so I've been focused on that for a really long time. And yeah, we're based in Montreal here. We've got a small team of skilled craftspeople that sew everything. And yeah, we've launched a new collection of swimwear, and everything gets to be made for every body. So regardless of what's in your pants, you can get something that fits you really well.
I love
There's
that.
so much here. Go ahead, Chris.
Well, hi, Abdullah, by the way, and hello, Annette from Solana. There's so many things, and Kerry has a lot of questions. I want to just ask one or two. One of which is, so first off, you just said that your people are sewing in Montreal.
Yeah.
So you did not opt to sew out of Kosovo or all the places where people could sew for like 4 cents a piece or something.
Absolutely.
That's an important decision. What made you make that decision?
Yeah, it was a big factor in starting this from the ground up, and it's something that I wanted to dig into with you guys as well. Like, there's a lot of ethical decisions that go into everything, and especially in capitalism. Like, there's so many different ways of doing this, and we have this idea that capitalism exists just to make money, and there's so many other ways of doing this with a heart and doing this in a way that supports people and supports everyone in the community. And so it was a no-brainer. I wanted to start at home and train people with skill sets. I wanted to hire people that were consistently being left out of mainstream, jobs that had upward mobility. I wanted to make sure that like the queer and trans people in our communities were getting healthcare benefits, they were getting a living wage. And yeah, it's a global feminist issue too. Like I didn't feel comfortable outsourcing to a place where, probably women of color were getting paid not enough for their work. And so it's always just been that way from the beginning. It started with me making everything. And when I needed help, I looked to the people around me in my community.
So a sustainable brand as well, like an ethical and a sustainable brand.
Yeah. And that means so many things. I think that's a buzzword we hear all the time, but like, what does that actually mean? And we try to just do the best that we can because we still live within this system, right? Like I still have to get materials that are usually made in Asia to make the things that I make. But yeah, there's so many different decisions that you can make along the way that just make you feel better about what you do.
One of the reasons that I invited you on the show is because I think there's like right now a couple of dueling narratives happening in the media and in social media where people want us to believe that trans and non-binary and genderqueer and generally non-conforming people are like a small minority of the population. And yet you've built this incredible brand that's been going strong for a decade or more. And I feel like those two things are not consistent. So clearly it is not a small minority. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, this got even bigger than I could ever imagine when I started it on my own when I was living in Honduras and making bikinis for people who were scuba divers. Like this is beyond my wildest dreams. And it just goes to show like not only have trans and gender diverse people been much more like accepted and in the media the last few years, we've had this boom of people starting to explore what it feels like to be in their body, explore trying on different genders. And for me over COVID, that was so evident in a way that I was not expecting. Most online businesses really struggled during COVID and mine just like doubled every year. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? And I realized that people for the first time were able to stay at home or like not have to be in a workplace in the same way. And they were exploring their genders in a way that finally felt comfortable. Maybe they had a little bit of like extra government money to throw to this like, ethical lingerie brand. And they were like, hey, like, let's try this out and let's see what something feels like in a way that feels safe. And yeah. And now there's so many other brands like me that are coming onto the market, which is wonderful to see, but there weren't when I started 12 years ago. Like this is really fantastic and new. And there absolutely is a market. These like, it's not just gender diverse folks. It's like anyone who's ever felt like they don't fit mainstream clothes, like they can't buy off the rack. Like how many times have I heard, oh, I never can go bikini shopping because nothing ever fits me. There's so much of a need for individualization in the fashion industry.
Ray, I was thinking about that when you were talking about the different kinds of styles and things. I was thinking particularly about things like swimwear. So Kerry and I both have trans kids, and my kid identifies as non-gender. They've worn a binder for a million years. And then the only time that it's a little tricky is let's go out to the lake or whatever. Let's go to the beach. Yeah. And because the rest of the time they are like one of the classic non-binary. They like wear typical male clothes. They wear dresses, whatever they feel like wearing is what they wear. So, but the water is a different thing. Can you talk just a little specifically about like kind of the challenges and also some of your solutions for the swimwear?
Yeah. So swimming is a really interesting thing because like, it's a way that we connect with nature, with our communities. It's a way that a lot of people kind of regulate themselves and feel good about themselves and enjoy their time, especially in the summer, where we want to be outdoors and with our friends and everything. But it's also like such an intimate experience, like all of these people and all of these strangers are seeing you half naked for the first time. And so it's like, yeah, for gender nonconforming folks especially, it's like, and for so many people for so many reasons, it's kind of terrifying, so those garments just have to have the right heart to them to make sure that people are feeling good. And so traditionally, like binders is a great example. Traditionally, binders weren't made so that you could swim in them. They weren't safe, and the construction of those just hadn't evolved in many, many years. And so one of the things that I did when I designed binders was like, people need to be able to actually wear these in their daily lives. We used to get all of these warnings of you can only wear it for so many hours and you can't exercise and you can't swim and you have to take breaks and it should hurt a little bit, but that's okay. And I was like, that doesn't feel great to be able to like mail these out to people across the globe. I can't see them. I can't check in with them and make sure they're okay. So I designed a line of binders that you can swim in, that you can exercise in, that actually breathe with you so that you can, not have pain and not experience difficulty breathing and all of these things that we don't want for people.
Imagine that. Although I did say when my oldest transitioned, I was like, welcome to being a woman. Shoes hurt, clothes hurt.
Yeah.
Getting your hair done hurts.
Depilation.
Bunch of things suck a little bit.
Yeah.
Lipstick tastes disgusting.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yep.
For sure.
Lessons to learn.
Yeah.
I want to wave hi to a LinkedIn user because we don't know who that is, but I'm sure you're very nice.
So StreamYard is very aware of privacy.
My biological father just showed up. So
awesome.
Your biological father and also his wife.
His wife.
Yeah. So you have to tell StreamYard it's okay for us to know who you are. Then it will tell us.
Otherwise, it won't tell us.
Us.
Ray, I want to say something. You're already like one of the best guests we've had. You speak very good about what your topic is. You're right on. You know everything you're saying. You mentioned.
Did you say she speaks? I'm sorry. Did you just say they speak good?
I speak good.
You speak good.
They speak good.
Hey, Joanne. But no, one of the things I was thinking about is, in a way, because of the nature of your business and probably in other elements of your life, you've had to represent. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to just sell a product. You are representing a bunch of people. You've said an expression a bunch of times in this that I struggle with this. I say the wrong thing the wrong way many, many times. You said something about explore their gender. Mm-hmm. That's interesting to me. What other kinds of education do you sort of slip in between the sewing stitches?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And like I said, I'm in my year 12 of doing this. So when I started, there wasn't anyone on the market like me at all. And there is no one else doing custom gender affirming stuff now. But it's been a collection of knowledge. Like I said, it all comes back to my community. I get feedback from the people around me. I get feedback from my customers. And I'm just trying to hear what people are saying about the products, but also their experience in these things. And as the world really evolves in terms of our trans and gender diverse narrative, more recently, I'm trying to be a person who can amalgamate that knowledge and not just like disseminate it through offering different types of products, but also like offering guides and information. And that's why I really loved doing things like this. And I like talking to people. I've been doing speaking gigs at different universities and colleges, and that feels really cool for me to be able to talk about not just like why this is important from a fashion perspective. So this brand could also be called, I am a failed sociologist. I came into this from a sociology degree being like, I probably can't cut it in this world, but I'm really good at sewing. So how can I use that skill set to actually affect people through this avenue that feels more accessible? And yeah, it's been a huge tenet of what I do, is trying to get information to parents of trans young people. Like, there's no information out there. Safety when it comes to tucking and binding and all of these processes, gender exploration, people come to me for those resources now, and it feels important to be someone who's been around long enough to be able to at least a little bit speak to that. And now we work with a network of NGOs around the world who are then giving away our products for free. So this is like, it's a clothing brand, and it's also this fantastic other program that people can get gender affirming garments without paying for them. And we do that through working with those NGOs who are fantastic also at teaching people what they need to know.
I want to talk more about that. First, my teen found you and then came to me and was like, can I have money to buy stuff? And I was like, yes, you did. Yes. Yeah. But tell me more about the NGOs. How do you decide who to work with?
At the moment, I work with anyone I find, and that might have to change in the future. We've got a network of over 30 NGOs right now. Some of them we've been working consistently with for many years. The biggest one being Point of Pride in the States. They're a wonderful organization that donates binders and gaffs to anyone who needs it. You just fill out a form, you get one for free. So if you go on my website and you're like, I want this thing and I don't have money, you can actually just get it for free, which is great. And it's a fantastic way of operating within capitalism. I really love that. But yeah, we've got NGOs from like a lot of different spaces. We've got ones that work with refugees, with people with HIV/AIDS. We've got like people working with homeless people, especially homeless youth, because there's like so many of our trans siblings who unfortunately are in these situations, living on the street, living in different situations where they need to access gender affirming stuff and they can't. So for many reasons, a lot of these NGOs operate out of universities and colleges. A lot of them are in the States, and of course, as we're seeing, like a lot of things are shifting right now in the culture of transness, and I think there's going to be more of a need for people to access these. And so this program, it's been running for about half of the lifespan of my company, but it's become such a huge part of what we do, and we're really trying to ramp that up and get more funding and trying to really strengthen that because it's more important now than ever.
Are there options? Sorry, I haven't noticed, but are there options for people who are buying from you anyway to buy something for somebody else, like as part of your charitable efforts?
Yeah. So we do have like a donation option where people can donate to one of the specific programs that we're working with. But any way that people are supporting, even if they're just buying things from the website, it all just goes back into being able to work with those organizations.
I was just thinking about, I heard this said once that well, because anybody can be upset about anything. So trans and non-binary is a privileged thing, and I never thought about it until you said homeless people, and when you thought about sort of like some of the other less developed nations. I know there's some new word we're supposed to say for third world, so I'm stumbling over that. But places where you maybe don't have the money to buy underpants that help you tuck or whatever. Yeah. That's where I'm going at. So I think it sounds like you're even cognizant of that, and that's why some of these programs exist. But have you heard that? Has that come up? Has someone said like, "Oh, well, good for you that you can afford like the right kind of binder or whatever"? Like, what do you do with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that I think about the most is that there is a privilege in being able to buy it and to be able to buy it ethically. And so if someone says to me, "Hey, look, I really want this thing and I can't afford it," I'm like, that's fine. Like, go on Amazon and buy the thing that you can afford. Right. That's what's important to you and that's what's accessible to you. Maybe I'm not accessible because I'm not the cheapest because we use ethical labor, but that's okay. And I try to balance that out with being able to work with the NGOs, but people work within the frame that they're able to. Cool. Yeah. And we do have a lot of support in some ways. Maybe if you go to like your school association, like your Gay Straight Alliance or whatever organization is in your community and say like, hey, look, like we have a lot of need for binders in our community that we can't access. Like there are organizations that will buy from companies like us and then give them away. And that's a program that's become more and more popular, which is amazing to see. And, we do have like people later in life who are either coming out or have been out as gender diverse or trans for years who are like, hey, like I couldn't afford this up until now, but I'm like finally in a place where I'm like, I can put my money where my mouth is and support you. And so it is a cycle. And there's going to be something for everyone out there.
But even the content you're providing. So even if people can't afford your gaffs, they can get one, but they still might not know the correct way to use it. That's safe. Yeah. So you're doing good for them, whether or not they buy your things.
Yeah. And hopefully like that one gaff will allow them the access to like feel better in their body and allow them, confidence or like access to spaces that they didn't feel comfortable in before. And yeah, obviously like we're always here to provide information for people.
Do you get hate mail? Do you get nasty comments on your site? I feel like you must.
Honestly, I used to much more than I do now. I think I've weeded a lot of them out since I've been really specific about working for the trans and gender diverse community. And it's only been like a few years that we've really like kind of switched gears to doing mostly that. I feel like especially on my social media platforms, I've like weeded out most of the people who were like, oh, I just want to see like hot girls in underwear. And now they're like, oh, this is like, it is what's happening. But also like I wasn't aware.
Thinking about guys being like, I don't know feel right now. I like this, but
Yeah. So I had this kind of like cull a few years back where like a lot of kind of like creepy dudes were like, oh, I'm going to fuck off. This isn't quite for me. Which was great. But I did get quoted in this like strange like right-wing article that was talking about like, oh, the horrors of like the mutilation of trans bodies. It was talking about like someone going to a hospital for a gender-affirming surgery. And somehow they like quoted me in it. It was like about a hospital that was providing care. And they're, oh, and brands like Origami Customs, like, you know, doing terrible things to trans bodies. And I was like, I don't even know why I'm part of this, but it does happen from time to time. And it's kind of hilarious. Luckily, our community is so strong and so amazing. And our customers are like legitimately the nicest people ever. All of our communications, even when we fuck up, and we do sometimes, like people are so sweet about it. A couple of weeks ago, our entire team got COVID at the same time. And so we were like really delayed on making things for people. And everyone was so kind, and they were like checking in on us. I mean, like, want to make sure you guys are okay. And like, yeah, the community is strong.
Les, who's joining us from LinkedIn, he's our LinkedIn user.
Oh, LinkedIn user.
Yeah, Ray, is your company on LinkedIn so I can follow it? But on my mobile, it shows his name. So, are you on LinkedIn, Ray?
Yes. I'm personally on LinkedIn. I don't do a lot of company stuff on LinkedIn, but you can find us on the other social media platforms. We're quite a visual online media presence, so like I tend to be on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. But
it would be a little strange in my LinkedIn feed to see a couple of bikinis go by.
Do you know the first day this show was live on LinkedIn, we had a sex expert on?
Nice.
And yeah, Dr. Sunny.
Oh, that's right.
Because we were talking about like making a career of being a sex expert and stuff, but people were also like, I have to ask about anal. Like, there were questions. And I forgot we were on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we weren't really thinking about that.
LinkedIn.
And then someone wrote a post that said,
and they were happy.
They were like, I just saw a sex expert interview on LinkedIn, and I'm here for it.
I mean, honestly, if you're on LinkedIn, you probably need something to spice up your day because it's kind of a boring place.
Yeah,
enough of the top 10 tips for using AI for content marketing.
Yeah, exactly.
I
hope it made their day.
Les wants you to come over to Mastodon as well. So you'll be in all. You'll be in all.
About Mastodon.
As this show is winding down, one other question I was thinking about was that you said that we decided to focus really specific on transgender, non-conforming, non-binary, etc. I know that rainbow sometimes falls apart a little bit when people have conversations because there are still all these kind of like I almost said turf wars, but I didn't. I didn't mean it the way I was saying.
Yeah.
All right. Pretend I finished asking my question. Is that part of what you had to decide?
Can you be more specific?
Okay. Gay males, it turns out, really love underpants.
Mm-hmm.
I found that out absolutely by mistake in Columbus, Ohio, wandering in the store looking for a belt.
Gotcha.
And they were like, hello. And I was like, where am I? This is like Narnia.
Not in Kansas anymore.
And they're
like, you need so much help.
It's reasonably clear. I identify as cishet because I'm just like, what is all this?
Tiny.
It was awesome. Like I wear Hanes, so like that's me. I guess what I was saying is that I think I've seen, arguments from some of those crowds about like where trans people fit and all that sort of thing. Did you have that same fight in the underwear and under things and lingerie world, or did that just, miss you?
I mean, yes and no. Like, I think I tried to be very broad when I started out, and I tried to make styles that, I mean, now everyone can buy everything regardless of like what their body is like. But I used to make styles that would encompass a lot of different like queer subcultures. And I think that was ambitious. And I think I did a good job for where I was then. But it's been more important to hone in. And honestly, that's worked really well for me. And I think I get some of the support And honestly, like some of the other acronym letters have a lot more money, which is fantastic for me because a lot of those people are in positions of power at some of the organizations that I work with, for example. So, some of those people with a little bit more privilege can come in and say like, oh, I actually appreciate what you're doing. And we can call that in and I can actually like help facilitate that. And the ones that don't want to be a part of what I'm doing, that's super fine because, we found our niche and that feels really nice. And yeah, we're sitting pretty.
Do you mentor other people who want to make a career out of something that they like doing, but they haven't, like you were on the beach, right? Sewing bikinis for people occasionally. At what moment did you decide that could be a business and how do you help other people recognize that moment?
Oh, good question. I mean, when I started, I had no idea that this is where I was going to end up. I was like, I'll just start an Etsy for fun. And now I'm here. I absolutely love mentorship and I really do want to be that for right now. I feel like I am that for my employees and I'm teaching them a lot of the stuff that I've learned over the years. And they're starting to do some of the design and pattern work that I've been doing for the last 10 years, which is a wild place to be. But yeah, it is important to pass on that information. And I think where my heart lies also is just in the education part of it right now. So I really want to focus on being able to mentor people in the business side of like the why, how to start a company that's more ethical, that's the best that we can do. And how do you start to pull apart like what aspects of a company make it ethical or not ethical and start to offer people more like business advice on that side, because there are a lot of people doing other types of gender affirming garments. And that's really important. And a lot of people who are really fantastic at sewing, who are developing new stuff all the time. But what I don't see is a lot of people with the information to apply their value set to a business model. And I am, I'm not the expert. I'm not the only expert, but it is something that I'm like very proud of being able to start to figure out.
We reached that part of the show. You make your comment, but then I have to do something.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. We are going to do that. I just realized though, I mean, sometimes when we talk to a guest, we hear a guest, we come in with our preconceived notion of what we want to talk about. We want to talk about underpants.
Yeah.
But you brought us back to the theme many times, and I just want to go out with just a quick comment before we do what Kerry was about to do. That I just said that's what we're going to do. You are commenting repeatedly about the concept of making ethical capitalism work, and I just want to encourage you to keep it. I'm friends with Seth Goldstein, who is chairman of a bunch of things like Eat the Change. He's the guy who made Honest Tea.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's a lot, and he did very well for himself. They sold for Coke, which sounds like the evil empire, but it allowed them to go from like 68% fair trade to 100% fair trade. So that, it changed the world.
Systems. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I heard that, realized there was a theme that I wasn't really commenting or acknowledging, and that's important, because not only do you make underpants, you make ethical capitalist businesses that you have to help people understand. So that's all I wanted to say. Kerry, say what
so it is a business that works even though you give away a lot of stuff for free to NGOs, and even though you're an ethical business and you're paying people a fair wage. Like, I just want people to pay attention to that too. Right? Because a lot of people would be like, no, that's not how you turn a buck. But it can be.
Yes. Theoretically, it turns a buck. And no, like we're doing really well, but it is like, yeah, it's challenging. It's all about like working within those systems. You can't exist outside of capitalism, but how do we do the best that we can? That's what it comes down to. It's like the heart. It's seeing each person behind each piece of clothing that we make. It's like, I'm not in this to be a millionaire. I just want to affect other trans people.
Well, it's going great. I can tell you from personal experience.
Yeah. And that's such a cool story to hear that that's affected you personally. That's so wonderful.
So now I'm going to do the thing.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
Chris always picks someone. I never have any say unless he's not here.
Don't, but I'm giving it to our new friend Les, LinkedIn user Les.
LinkedIn user Les.
You are now entitled to a free apple. You button pusher. You are now entitled to a free apple. You just got to go to the store, pick up an apple, and just
wash it really good.
Oh, wash it really good. All right.
I would like bake it into a tartlet.
All right. There's one other thing that we forgot to tell you in prep, which is that at the backpack show, we give everyone a chance to add one thing to the backpack. So this is something either physical or something metaphorical. It could be something like an avocado, or it could be something like hope for the future.
Yeah.
Kerry, what's a good physical thing you could add to a backpack?
Extra set of teeth. DJ Cumberbund.
Yeah,
You just
you
never
could do that.
know.
You never know. What about metaphorical, though? There can't be. What's on your mind?
Kindness. Ariel Helvetica, burlesque performer, put kindness in the backpack.
Very nice.
That's beautiful.
So, Ray, what will you add to the backpack?
Well, this is actually the only thing I prepped for this interview. I thought about it a lot, actually. And there's so many good things, but I think like we are on a theme of today talking, and I'm going to continue that and say empathy, because I think that is the basis of what I've chosen to do. And like I just said a second ago, it's thinking about each person and their experience behind the ways that they've interacted with me and my company. And that's always been the basis of what I do.
So Joanne said, thanks for being a good shepherd in this human shift to include everyone on the gender spectrum. This is so cool to hear about. And Chloe said, thanks for all you do, Ray, and for sharing it with us.
Oh, people are so nice.
Go buy some under things at Origami Customs.
Origami Customs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so amazing how the world's changed. My grandmother maybe could have used you, even though she was not a gender non-conforming human. She just probably could have used some ideas on how to cleverly get to the beach. Because one time there was something she wore.
So you could never go to that beach again.
Hallelujah.
I missed the